Hey everyone, Melissa here. Welcome back to my channel. I am coming to you today from our outdoor enclosed deck. Again, I'm really enjoying these like first few warm days of spring where I'm able to sit out here and read and also to chat with you a little bit about books. So hopefully the birds are not all that distracting, and you'll probably occasionally hear my neighbor's dogs and her yelling at them as well in the background. So anyway, so apologies for that. So let's just get right into the books for this week. It was actually a really good reading week for me. I finished two books, and I have another one in progress. I actually have two in progress. Three if we don't count Obama's memoir, A Promised Land, which is my mammoth book, even though it's not a mammoth. I've gone into that before in previous videos. Um, I'm probably not going to finish that one in time for the end of March, which is okay, which is fine. I think that was one of the so-called rules of the mammoth. Like, you just had to start it, right? Which is kind of, I think I kind of did it. But anyway, so first book I finished this week was Conditional Citizens on Belonging in America by Lalami, and I listened to most of this on audio as my book traveling to and from work for the 2 days that I was in the office this week. And I thought that this book was really well done. I thought it was a great look at her experiences as an immigrant. She came to the United States after being born, raised, and educated in Morocco. So Laila came to the United States more than 20 years ago. And the book is, I would categorize this as part history, part memoir, part political commentary about her experiences, being profiled at checkpoints, and how there are different checkpoints like throughout the United States, about the discrimination experienced in housing and in jobs and all of that. I think this is a worthwhile read. There were some things in here that I had already known about or had read previously in other works, but I felt like this was she did a really good job at explaining, why some people who are citizens, she's a naturalized citizen of the United States, why some people are considered conditional citizens, as in not having, as defined as she describes it, as not having the full rights and benefits of people who are of different races. And yeah, so I think that again, well worth the read. It was very interesting, very enlightening. Thought that it was really, really good. My second book that I don't have a copy of, it was on my Kindle, and there's not even a cover for it on Kindle. I got an advanced reader's copy of it through Edelweiss, and that is the Naomi Letters by Rachel Mennies. So again, this is going to sound like another episode of Melissa and her author friends, but Rachel is someone who I know from here in Pittsburgh, from the writing community here. And by I say writing community, I mean I am like on like the fringe of it. I mean I am I am not anywhere near the level that a lot of people, who do readings at bookstores and libraries here do. I mean, that's not me, but anyway. So, but we have several of the same mutual friends, and one of them, our friend Marissa, did a event a couple years back. I'm talking like about maybe 6 years ago now, where that she called Acquired Taste, and we went to this bookstore, and it was a series of writing about food. And I read a piece about going to my grandmother's church, my grandparents' church, as a child for their annual oyster dinners, and this was like a thing in Northeast Philly at the time. You would have these oyster dinners. I guess they were throughout the year. But this one was always at the holiday time. It was always like, a week or two before Christmas. And there was a bazaar where you could, shop for like handmade items and things like that. Anyway, so I wrote about this as my submission to Acquired Taste. And so it was selected to be part of a reading with was myself and another poet, another extraordinary poet here in Pittsburgh named Jeff Oakes, and Rachel Mennies. And so we got to know each other through that. We quickly realized that we're both from Philadelphia and living in Pittsburgh. She is now living in Chicago. Anyways, so this is her second book, and I forgot to bring out her first collection of poetry. And I will link to that below. But this book, The Naomi Letters, it is really, it is an extraordinary collection of poems. First of all, it's structured as a series of letters. And the narrator addresses herself as Rachel. And she's writing to a woman named Naomi. It's clear that they have had a relationship, a romantic relationship. It's also clear that Naomi is no longer in the picture. And it's clear that she, the narrator wants Naomi to be in the picture. She is writing to them, and I'm going to pause this for one moment. Okay, I'm whispering to the camera here because my neighbor was yelling at her dog, and I don't want her to hear me saying this on the deck. Although I don't really care if she does hear me, but like the way she yells at these dogs is like crazy. She just sounds a little off the rails. Anyway, so you don't need to be subject to that as much as we do. So anyway, that's why, Anyway, as I was saying, so the Naomi Letter, structured as a series of letters. It is written to a lover who is departed. So there are obviously themes, LGBTQ themes to this collection. She weaves in other women poets. If you are a fan of, Adrienne Rich or Sylvia Plath, Sharon Olds, there is just, she brings in their works into these letters. The letters span a time frame of maybe, I want to say about a year and a half, maybe about 18 months. They start right at the beginning of the Trump administration, although that's not really mentioned all that much in the letters. But the writing, and I really wish I had brought out my Kindle so I could read some of that to you, but maybe I'll save that for either a separate video or my monthly wrap-up video to share some of the lines in there. But it's a really great collection, one that I'm really I'm glad I read. I think that Rachel is a author. If you are into poetry or if you are into women's poetry, she also includes like a lot of elements from the Jewish experience in her poems. That is definitely present in this collection as well. So if you like any of that or any combination of those things, then I think that the Naomi Letters might be something that you would be interested in. Again, really enjoyed it. It's a very fast read. I think I read it. I actually needed something to read on my lunch hour. I had forgotten my current book with me one day this week at lunch, and I needed something relatively quickly, and I remembered that I had this out on Kindle, and it is, I believe, due out from the publisher BOA Editions April 27th, so a month from now. So yeah, it didn't take me too long to read, but you can probably finish it in the span of like an hour or so. So on to what I have been reading this week. So decided to take a plunge into March Mystery Madness with My Cousin Rachel by Daphne du Maurier. I have never read anything by Daphne du Maurier before. This was a copy that I picked up from our local Goodwill. And So this is, everyone probably already knows the story about this because I'm probably one of the last few people to read it, but it is the story of a young man. He is in his 20s, named Philip, and he is an orphan. His parents are deceased, and he has been raised by his cousin Ambrose, and they live on this estate, and it's, very beautiful with, flowers and gardens, and they have servants, and they have a grand house. And so Ambrose decides to go to I'm sorry, I'm literally distracted by a squirrel. um, so Ambrose goes to Florence, and he meets this woman Rachel, and he's gone for, like, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years, something like that, and he writes kind of a distressing letter to Philip, that makes Philip suspect that Rachel has nefarious motives when it comes to his cousin's welfare. Though, and also I should say too that the way that the book begins is a little, like, jarring. Philip and Ambrose are at what is like a hanging of a man, and so, like, the descriptions of Tom Jenkins, who is like swaying in the wind or whatever, that's a little bit too much, and so that has something to do with the plot of the book. So anyway, so Philip travels to Florence. He learns, that his cousin has died. I don't think I'm giving away any spoilers here, and so he is prepared not to like Rachel at all. And so from where I am in the book, it seems that on page 120, it seems that his feelings are changing a little bit, and whether or not she is who she says she is and her motives are true, we shall see. But anyway, I am definitely enjoying this. Like I said, it's the first Daphne du Maurier that I have read. I have not read Rebecca, so that is a default in my literary, background. Do intend to read that at some point soon, but for right now, I am really enjoying My Cousin Rachel. I think it is a little bit annoying how she is constantly addressed by Philip as My Cousin Rachel. So instead of just Rachel, I mean that. But anyway, maybe there's a reason for that. I don't know. So, and in terms of cousins, they are like distant cousins or third cousins or something to that effect. Anyway, so My Cousin Rachel, that's one of the ones I've been reading. So also finally getting into my BookTube spin book, Dreyer's English, The Utterly Correct Guide to Clarity and Style. So what I've discovered about this rather quickly is that this is the UK version of Dreyer's English. So, which is not a problem. Not that much. But yeah, there's obviously some differences between our language and, grammar and spelling and whatever. So yeah, so this is the UK version. And I debated maybe not reading this one and picking up the other one. I had just assumed, seeing that this was the paperback version, that it was like the paperback version of the American version, right? But no, that's not the case. So anyway, we will see. But anyway, like, not too many people would be interested, I think, in reading like a copy edit style guide book. But I'm really enjoying this one. First of all, I need to point out a few things in it. He's writing about the use of should've. Okay, should apostrophe VE. And he has, I don't know if you can see this, the Flannery O'Connor flowchart. So should of. Are you Flannery O'Connor? Yes. Okay, then you can use should have. If not, then should have. Anyway, so I think for those of us looking at you, Noah, from everyone who reads it must converse. For those of us who like Flannery O'Connor, you'll find that kind of amusing as I do. But anyway, the book is really good. I think I highlighted a few places. Um, he writes about, you know, the Oxford comma, the series comma, and I also one of the things I am appreciating very much about this, because apparently I have a little bit of a reputation here on BookTube as being a little bit salty. I do like that he takes a few little pot shots at Donald Trump, so that is always a fun thing. So anyway, so enjoying that. I probably will be done that in time for the booktube spin, I hope. Like I said, I'm not gonna probably finish my March of the Mammoth book. Probably will finish my March Mystery Madness book, and I really do want to get in one for the March of the Moderns. I think that's the right name. A modern book, which is probably going to be A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf, because that's relatively short. So I also wanted to show you library books for the week. Two of them, Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. Have not read anything by Maggie O'Farrell, but have heard, of course, great things about Hamnet, so can't wait to get read that one. And Let's Get Back to the Party by Zach. So let me see his name. Zach Salih. I hope that I'm saying his name correctly. This is a debut novel, and I don't know too much about it. It's an LGBTQ novel. I saw this on Greg's channel. It's supposedly fun, and from his description of it, I knew I had to read this. So anyway, let's get back to the party. So yeah, so that, other than that, it's been a pretty good week. My husband had his second COVID vaccine today. It's Saturday as I'm filming this. So he had his second vaccine. The weather's getting a lot nicer. The birds are returning to our yard, and that's always good. And yeah, so all's well. So hope all is well in your neck of the woods too, and I will talk to you again in my next video real soon. Thanks. Bye.